Happy Sunday, everyone. Hope everyone is well. Welcome to the Amateur Football Podcast. On the show, I have Sean, founder of SP Athletic. But before I bring on the special guest, let me just run through the results from yesterday's games. Starting from Division 1. Division 1, Independent beat Leone Stars 4-2, LSU Masters 3, Sporting Santos 5, Metrogas 4, Charcoal 4, Wallenham 3, Hollington 2. And this is how the table looks. Hollington first, Charcoal second, Metrogas third, Wallington fourth, Santos fifth, LSU Masters sixth, Independent seventh, New Park eighth, and Leone Stars ninth. And the fixtures for next week: Leone Stars versus Metrogas, New Park versus London South Masters, Santos versus Independent, Charcoal versus Hollington. Let's go straight into Division 2. Kawuya 6, SP Athletic 2, which we'll definitely be talking about. Sean.
Yeah.
Gravesham 3, Catford Wanderers 0. That's something that I'll be talking about very candidly. Bow Street and Seagas score draw. Nil score draw. 0-0. And Parkwood Vets 2, Long Lane Vets 0. And this is how the table looks right now. Kawuya first, SP second, Gravesham third, Long Lane fourth, LSU Legends fifth, New Park sixth, Seagas seventh, Bow Street eighth, and Catford ninth. And I have to mention Division 3 because there's some big. And these are the fixtures this week. Catford versus Legends, Long Lane versus Bow Street, SP versus Gravesham, Seagas versus Parkwood. Let me just talk about Division 3 as well, because I've kind of got a few DMs about Division 3. So hey, I can't leave you guys out. Division 3. Have I put it on? Yeah. Bromley. Can't read that.
Bromleyans.
Yeah. Bromleyans. Apologies. Bromleyans 2. Southeast Athletic 1. Ex-Blue Vets 5. Hollington Club Vets 1. Hayden Youth Association 1. Bodden Sports Vets 5, and Kingsdale 4. Wallenham Vets B 3. The table. Bodden Sports, Hayden Bodden first, Hayden Youth second, Hollington third, Kingstonians fourth, Bromleyans fifth, Ex-Blues sixth, Johnson and Phillips seventh, Wallenham eighth, Southeast Athletic 9th, and New Park Vets 2000 10th. And these are the fixtures coming up. Bodden Sports versus New Park, Hollington versus Johnson and Phillips, Southeast Athletic versus Bromleyans Vets, and Wallenham versus Hayden Youth. We finally got there. Again, shout out to everyone in those divisions. Trust me, I know that there's 7 divisions, but I can't cover them all. But trust me, I will do my damn hardest if you send me a DM. Let's go straight into the special guest. And again, shout out to Sean and all of the players at SP that literally DM me literally continuously saying, we have to be on the show. So Sean, founder of SP Athletic, thank you for coming on. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Tabrice, how you doing?
I'm well. I'm well. I'm well. I mean, yeah. Hey, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I know that we'll probably talk about our results respectively.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we kind of talk about that, could you kind of talk a little bit about SP and literally why you created the club?
Yeah, so the club's been going now for about just over 2 years. Literally started off as an idea I had to form a vets team. At the time, I was managing Catford Wanderers. I've been manager for about 2 seasons, I think it was. And I knew a few players in and around the vet circuit. There was at other clubs. So I kind of just bounced the idea around to a few players. And they were like, yeah, interested. So they brought in other players as well. Just started off playing a few friendlies. We'd done all right in those games, actually. And then it kind of made sense to enter the league. So we went into Division 3 of the Southern Vets League. Done all right in our first season, finished sort of mid-table, got to the semis of the League Cup. So respectable first season. And then last season, obviously, we finished third, and that got us promoted into Division 2, which is where we're currently at. And then we've just added a second team, which are now playing in Division 5. So we've got 2 vets teams at the moment, trying to grow the club. And I mean, the club is just about friendships. You know, it was formed by groups of friends coming together. We're really big on doing stuff outside of football. So it's not just about on a Saturday, turn up for 90 minutes and then go home. We try to do a lot of social events as well. You know, if it's one of the lads having a birthday, often a group of us will go out after a game on a Saturday. And also we did like a tour to Amsterdam back in June. So we had a group of guys go out there, had a great time for the weekend, played football, international vets tournament. So yeah, we're just about that. Like I said, it's that outlet for players of vets age to come and play football, socialise, form friendships that hopefully will last after they finish playing vets football. You know, you could be thinking when you're sitting down 67 years old, reminiscing with players that you've played with at the club and talking about certain games or things that happened. And that's kind of how the idea of the club and what we try to have it as the culture within the club.
So you mentioned that you used to manage Catford,
Yeah.
and you like decided to walk away from that position. Can I ask why? And like, you know, yeah, let me just say, can I ask why? I'm very smiling.
Caprice, I said to you, I don't want anything controversial. The question you asked me potentially is controversial. Now, listen, I've got nothing but love for Catford. Like all the guys there, great players. The sort of management team as well. Head of football, Tony Martin, great guy. I think for me, just in general, I'm a big believer in ownership. Right. So when you're running your own thing, you get to say how things run. You don't really have to go and ask anybody, oh, can we do this? Or is it all right for us to do that? With having your own club, you can kind of take it in the direction you want it to go. You know, you can run it how you think the club should be run. So I think for me, it's purely down to that, just to have more say in what happens on the pitch and off the pitch.
So did you feel, I'm just reading in between the lines, so you felt like you was just a pawn in like
no, not at all. Like I said, the guys at Catford, I'm good friends with them still now. I was down at the clubhouse yesterday. So it's just purely from a personal point of view. You know, I prefer to do things myself or have, you know, anything. If I can get ownership of it, I will set something up and then bring other guys in to help run it as well.
Yeah. You mentioned that you've got a second team that like you are actively now managing. I literally put out a post a couple of weeks ago saying that if vets teams, these current vets teams, want to survive for the next 5 to 10 years, they need to have an open age team. Is that something that you guys are thinking of, or literally are you just focusing on the kind of vets community?
No, 100%. So, like I said, the vets adding a second team is the first part of a long-term plan we've got for the club. Ideally, want to add sort of a senior age group, youth section as well, and obviously like a women's team as well. So that's definitely part of the long-term plan. And I agree. I think if you've got, you know, like a men's senior team, that it makes it easier to get players into Vets football. Obviously, that's a pathway for them directly to come in. So definitely helps. I don't think that's the only way to do it. I think there are other ways to get players in, because there's lots of clubs that are successful in Vets football who don't have, you know, younger teams or senior level teams, and they've managed to get players in every season. I mean, even for ourselves, we're in our third season now. We've had players come, players go every season. You know, we've managed to get players in so far. So it definitely helps if you do have that sort of those other teams to feed players into the Vets team. But I don't think that's the be all and end all.
I don't know if you can remember, but when I used to play for Independent, we played SP in a friendly.
Yes.
And you like gave us a good troush in it. It was 5 or 6-1 or something.
Yeah.
And you were in Division 3 at the time, right?
That's right. So that was our first season.
Was it your first season?
That's our first season, yeah.
Okay. So how did like the players, you know, there's only one player I remember, and I think he was a former boxer, or literally he did boxing training. I don't know.
Ross. Yeah, it's Ross.
Striker.
Yeah,
strong.
Yeah.
But again, very, very, very mouthy. But I remember after the game, you know, when like we were talking about you guys, thinking Division 3, like you guys should actually walk that division. But like you just said that you guys came third. Well, which is would I say that's surprising? A little bit. But how did you guys find playing in Division 3?
So Division 3 is one of those tricky divisions. You can get stuck in there for a long time. There's a lot of teams in there that can beat each other on their day. So it's, you know, I hear what you're saying. Obviously, when you played us, I think we won that game, and we looked like a good team. And you guys will be thinking, yeah, but it's a long season. So in our first season, we've done really well up to Christmas. And then after that, obviously, you know, conditions change. You know, we're a team, we like to play football, okay? But sometimes when you're playing after Christmas and the pitches are hard, you know, frozen, it's cold, you can't play that pretty football. It doesn't work. And then that's where teams who can play that long ball, they've got big players, they can win that aerial battle. That's where those teams can kind of take advantage of teams like ourselves that like to play football. And if you can't adapt to it, obviously, you know, you can find it hard. Once it gets to those sort of cold conditions, you know, when the pitches aren't the best as well. So I think it was a learning curve for us in our first season in Division 3. Like I said, we started off really strong. I think we were top of the league at Christmas, and then after Christmas, I think we picked up a few injuries as well. And then obviously the form we had it was up and down until the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, look, for a team that's just been formed out of nothing. First season in Division 3, like I said, there was a lot of good teams. You think Hollerton, I think, were in there in that season. Korea were in there, so some good teams who would, you know, I mean, Hollerton in Division 1 now, Korea Division 2, looking like they're going to mount a serious title challenge this season in Division 2. So we were playing against some good teams in our first season. So I think where we finished is quite respectable when you put everything into perspective.
What was your biggest mistake as a manager or founder within the SP Athletic brand?
What do you mean mistake? As in,
was it the recruitment of players? Was it possibly letting certain players go AWOL, or was it a particular game where like you felt that you could have done better as a manager? I'm literally leaving it open.
I see where you're going with this. Listen, as a manager, no one's perfect, and you're constantly learning. Right? It's football. No one knows everything about football, myself included. And I say this to my players as well. I'm only human. So sometimes you'll make a decision in a game, you'll get it right and you win the game. Sometimes you make the decision, it goes wrong. Okay. And as a manager, you've got to be man enough to say, okay, I've got it wrong today, lads. It's on me, type thing. I wouldn't say there's any one moment where I made a mistake or, you know, something I did that directly caused us not to do as well as we should have done. Because at the end of the day, there's 11 men on the pitch. They've still got to do a job as well. I can only do so much from the sidelines. But as a collective, like I said, I don't think it's. I think to say mistake is the wrong word to use. Right, I would say it was a learning experience for us in our first season. Like I said, this is a club, a team that formed out of nothing. You know, just a group of players that come together. How many people can say that? If you look through the divisions, most teams are affiliated to clubs. So they, like you said, they can get players in, players out. Literally, we just had to pull players in. Some weeks we had the bare 11, some weeks we had 15. You know, and for other managers out there that are running vets teams, they know it's not easy to do this week in, week out for a whole season. So, yeah, I wouldn't say there was a mistake that caused us not to do X, Y, Z. You know, I think there's teams that have been around in vets football for years and they've never reached a semi-final of a League Cup or got even close to that. So, for like I said, for us to do that in our first season and to be, you know, we were challenging for a long point of that season. You know, I think that's, for me anyway, I think that's respectable.
What's your biggest takeaway from that semi-final defeat?
I think it was humbling because I think we played, it was groundhoppers we lost to, and I think we were like 3-0 down within 10 minutes. So they had a plan. They came out. Obviously, most teams we play, first 10 minutes, you're kind of feeling each other out, seeing how the game's going to go. But I think with groundhoppers, their strategy was to just come out the blocks firing, and they kind of caught us off guard. So I think that was a thing that we took away from, to say, you know, you have to be on it from the first whistle. You can't think, right, we can sit back here, maybe see what they're doing, and then we can sort of adapt into the game going forward. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway with that. And like I said, literally, they just caught us off guard with that fast start they made.
You mentioned about Hollington now being in Division 1.
Yeah.
And again, like we like talking about some like big teams in Division 1: Hollington, Charcoal, LSU, Independent, Santos. In your opinion, and I'm putting you right on the spot, who do you think is favourite to win that division?
Division 1.
Division 1.
That's a good question. Do you know? I had a look at the results yesterday after our game, right? And I kid you not, I looked at Division 1 and I went, wow. Like, there's about 7 teams in there, like serious teams that, you know, they could all beat each other on their day. I think, obviously, Charcoal, they've dominated for the last couple of seasons, so you got to put them as sort of front runners. But I think, I know some players at Hollington, and they got some serious players there, you know. So I think if I had to pick one team that's going to push Charcoal, I'd say Hollington are the obvious sort of contenders. But then I think you look at Independent, what they done last season. I think they pushed Charcoal right to the very end, didn't they? So, you know, you've got to take hats off to them for that last season. I think that was their first season in Division 1.
First season in Division
1.
So
to do that in your first season, as you know what I mean, in Division 1, that's a big achievement. I know they didn't win it, but you know, to come close, and they were up against Charcoal for the title. You know, you've got to give them props for that. Who else is in? I think Wallingham could be a surprise in there. You know, they're a team that not a lot of people really talk about them, but you know, I know they've got some decent players down there. Santos as well, good team, played good football, very good attacking. I think we played them in a friendly. I think it was last season, and going forward, they were frightening. Like, they had some rapid players, and they played quick football. To another good team, Santos. I'm just trying to think who else was in there. Let me have a quick look. LSU, well, you know, everyone knows LSU. You know, they always gonna have a good team. They'll definitely be in the mix, I think, come the end of the season. Again, another team, good players, play good football. Yeah, they'll definitely be up there. They'll have a say in how that goes. Sure. But yeah, for me, I think, I mean, you got to go Charcoal, innit? You have to. And I know obviously everyone says that, but you just got to go based off of previous seasons and what they've done. Got to go with Charcoal, and then I'd say Hollington and Independent, pushing them. LSU, I'll chuck them in as well. Hollington and Independents, yeah.
And one team that you think may struggle in Division 1?
I mean, I don't really know. if I had to say someone that might find it difficult, and this is purely based on for form so far this season, maybe possibly Leone Stars, New Park. But again, I don't really know those teams. I'm just judging it based on a few games they've played this season, and I know more about the other teams. So that's purely that. But you never know; they might get some players in, cause an upset.
Yeah. And let's kind of go down to the division that we are knocking heads with now in Division 2. You guys started off really, really well. And could you kind of talk about how you found Division 2 right now?
Yeah, so Martin has now taken over as the first team manager. So he's running that team with Alex, who's our assistant. Obviously, I said now I'm now running our second team, which is in Division 5. And, obviously, we've gone up a division, which, playing arguably tougher teams than what we were playing in Division 3. First few games, I know obviously the result yesterday wasn't what we wanted, but I'll take my hat off to Martin and all the boys, man. We've had a good start, good start. I think first we scored something like 14 goals in the first 3 games. That's, to go up into a new division and be hitting those sort of numbers is not easy. So I've got to take my hat off to Martin and Alex and all the boys as well that have been doing a good job so far. Obviously, yesterday's result, I wasn't at the game, but I've obviously spoken to the guys, so I know. Sounded like Kawuya they had a plan. They came out and they just caught us off guard. I think they scored a few early goals, and then once you go 2-3-0 down, you're up against it, then aren't you? But I think second half the boys came out and they got a couple of goals back. So credit to them for not giving up. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, again, I know the manager of Catford, Nano, wants to come on to actually talk about the Catford result. I was there. I played.
Okay.
So
who was it you played?
Gravisham away.
Tough one.
Listen. I mean, am I gonna get sacked from Catford? Listen, I mean, you know what? When it kind of comes down to my football, I take it really, really seriously. Some people think it's probably a bit OTT. I literally had a conversation with one of the players until 2:30 in the morning last night, or in the morning, about it. And again, you know what? Big shout out to Gravisham. Again, they exactly what you said before. They're very tough. They're just organized. They trust each other, and going to their place. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy because they know all of the bubbles.
Yeah,
they know all of the conditions. And actually, yesterday was a hot day, but that's not an excuse. That's literally not an excuse. What I can say is, Catford as a team are not there. Catford as a team right now are not there. We played as individuals, and sometimes you can kind of go through training and again, hey, you know what? There's only certain amount of information players will take. We are all old in the tooth in terms of our playing styles, our playing ability, etc. So it's just refining and just making sure certain things are ticking over. And again, I know Nana. Hopefully, Nana will actually come on because I've actually sent him the link. I think without talking too much, I think people were hiding and talking about the formation that we adopted rather than looking down at the foundations of football, which is trusting each other, playing as a team, and that's running, tackling, headering, communication. And honestly, we could be playing today and still not have scored.
Oh, no. What was the score?
It was we lost 3-0.
Okay.
And again, it was a kind of humbling performance. Do I think management still, I like still learning 100%. Do I think us as players are learning 100%? But also, we have had an influx of like players, but also as well, the team that started yesterday, there was only maybe about two new additions. Everyone else has kind of played together, so we can't use that as an excuse. Yeah. I believe that we kind of looked at the opposition who were late coming out. Well, not late coming out, but they kind of did their own thing. They had to set up their own goals, etc. And you think, wow, like you've got to set up your own goals. Like what's and so for like me, the whole attitude just wasn't right. But yeah, it was a humbling, and again, that the journey home was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
It's a horrible ground to travel to, that one. It's fine, and guaranteed you'll have 3 or 4 players who turn up late as well because of the distance. It's just one of them games you just want to get out of the way early in the season.
Yeah, it's and I think for me, and I see Nana in the green room, so she let me talk now.
But you know what, to Breeze, let me just say, just to mention about Gravisham. So even when I was at Catford, they were in the same division as us, right? And they're one of these teams that are kind of like no one really talks about them.
No one talks.
I tell you what, right? They every season they hit form and they're always up in the mix at some point in the season. I think they won the League Cup last season or something like that. Anyway, but again, like we were second for months in Division 3 last season, and they came up at the end and they took the second place to us. So they, I know obviously for yourselves it's disappointing to lose, but listen, Gravisham, they're no mugs. They're good. Like you said, they're organised team, and if you're not on it, they will turn you over.
They will turn you over, and they will literally surprise a lot of teams. And
100%.
And again, they can look like they've been playing together for years. And again, they're not pleasing on the eye. Yeah. But sometimes you don't have to be pleasing, especially when you're in this division. It's all about results.
Exactly.
And yeah, we got turned over, we got flipped, we got kicked.
Yeah, man.
Everything that you can, say, we let suffer yesterday. Can I get Nana in? I know I'm gonna get banned from the Catford group now. Nana, how you doing, sir?
I'm great, to Reese. Sean, how you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. You?
I'm blessed. I got a kid. Thank you.
Nice. Good. All right, good stuff, man.
I hear to be chatting a lot of nonsense.
Listen, you know what, Nana? Like, listen, you know what? I mean, you was in goal, so that you was there. I would actually love to get your kind of analysis as the manager. I know it's probably the worst kept secret now, but like you are the manager of like Catford. What was your analysis of the whole game?
Fine margins, understanding what the game plan is, and actually carrying it out. It's all fine margins because as I spoke to the last before the game, Gravisham, I know Max. I actually refereed them in the cup final last year. They're one of these teams who hang in there, keep going, and they'll take their chances. So, and they're quite organized. So if you turn up thinking, on paper, you have a better team, you have a better squad to be able to, turn them over, you will be surprised. And it was a good humbling yesterday. What I loved about the whole thing is, after the game, yes, it's painful to win, to lose. It's it's horrific to lose. You just, especially when you've traveled so far, and you have to make that journey home. But after the game, all the lads were still around for at least half an hour, just on the pitch side, talking about the game. So I know it hurt. And that spurs me on. You know, there were a few chances that we could have taken, and if it felt like if we had a goal, the whole game would have changed. But these are guys who there's 3 or 4 new players, and we looked disjointed at times. We had quite a bit of possession, but the possession wasn't biting. It wasn't meaningful. So they just sat back and defended, and then they caught us on the counter a few times. And that's all she wrote.
What was the biggest takeaway that you took from the game as the manager of Catford?
I knew what to expect, and I relayed that information to the lads. And my biggest takeaway would be the fact that this is the first game of the season, and their expectations, coming on the pitch and sort of wiping teams off the pitch. That's not it. You cannot underestimate any single team. You have to turn up. You can talk all the talk, but you have to walk the walk. There's no marks in Division 2. Everybody has a plan. Everybody has an agenda they want to get to Division 1. So you have to have a good game plan. You have to listen to instructions and carry out the game plan exactly as it is. Once you do that, you can have a lot of positives to take away. Because when you lose, when you win, when you draw, it's a game of football. But it's how you do it. How you do it, how you lose gives you things to work on. How you lose gives you promise. I.e., well, we didn't play well, that's why we lost. Or actually, we played well, we were just unlucky. So my takeaways from that game is the boys sitting down after the game, talking about the game. The way it hurt, I was actually glad the way it hurts them. Because if they don't want to be there, they just pick up their bags and go home. But as they stayed there for almost 30 minutes talking about the game and everybody sharing their frustrations, it's good. It means that people are committed. It's a painful pill to swallow, and we look to set it right next week.
Okay. And Sean, I mean, I know that you're not managing the first team, but Coolio look like a team that are going to be thereabouts next season. Oh, sorry, this season.
Yeah, 100%. They'll. I mean, looking at the table, obviously I've got to back SP, right? I'm saying I'm putting us ahead for title winners. But if taking us out of the equation, if I'm going through that division, I'm saying Korea are probably favourites. And that's just based on what I know of them. Obviously, we played against them before. Again, they got a good team and some good players as well. And I think they're the ones to beat for Division 2. I think Catford will be there, to be fair. I think you guys will be up there. I know, obviously, Nana, you've just taken over. But I think if some of the players who sort of were there when I was there, I think, is it Tony Chin? Is he still there?
Yes, he is, yes.
Yeah, Chin. So, quality centre-back. I think I know 1 or 2 of your other players. I think you guys will definitely be up there. And look, it's played 1 game, 2, 3 games. It's so early in the season. There's going to be so much more things that are going to happen. But yeah, I think Catford will be up there. Another team, I think maybe Long Lane. I don't know much about them, but I think weren't they in Division 1 last season?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think they were doing all right in that division, and when at the start of it anyway. And then I'm not sure what happened if they folded.
I think a lot of the boys went and joined another team. I believe that's why they folded.
Okay,
so it's a completely new long lane now.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. But yeah, no, I'd say obviously I put SP forward as being in the mix. Obviously, Korea. I think Catford as well. Again, I'm not just saying that because you guys are here. I think I think Nana, what I know of you, Nana, anyway, you seem like you're quite organised guy. You'll get things going. So I think you'll definitely be up there. And then probably Gravesham in about the mix. LSU, obviously, they got all different teams, so they can pull players in if needed. And then I think Sagas as well. Obviously, last season, I think they've done pretty good. I don't know if they've still got that team together or not, but you can't write them off for that as well.
Yeah,
So,
true. And Nana, well, not predictions, but again, who do you think is going to be the front runners in this division?
Well, obviously, I'll go for my team to come good and get the ball rolling. But I think it's the usual suspects because Kawuya recruited well. I think obviously, as they thought they were going to be in Division 1, they recruited well, started preseason early, and are up and firing on all cylinders already. You can never sleep on Segas. LSU have also again recruited pretty well, so it's going to be, and we have them next week actually, our first home game of the season. So it's going to be a huge game, a test of character for both teams. But yeah, Kawuya, SB, LSU, ourselves and Segas. I think at the end of, as much as Gravisham were good, I think a lot of teams will have a lot more firepower than they will. So they will be there and thereabouts, but I don't think they'll win it. That's just my honest. From what I saw yesterday, I don't think they win it. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, again, I don't know how they travel, but definitely at home they will like take a lot of points, and again, I can have to give Gravesham the utmost respect. I think they're like number 15. Oh, let me not swear, but he was constantly in my ear, constantly, and I'm like, this guy. But you know what? It was all in the spirit of the game. Like he again, as like Nana said, it was a humbling. It was a game where they grew into, and again, it just felt yesterday that we couldn't get into the second or third gear. Do I believe we will get it right? 100%. And I'm not saying that because Nana's here. I kind of genuinely think that we will actually get it right. However, exactly what Sean said, there are going to be mistakes. And it's down to the players and also management to actually take ownership of those mistakes. Because again, if for me personally, anyway, this is just my own opinion. We're all grown adults that literally spend a whole day on a Saturday playing football. If certain players and management admit their mistakes, you'll be like surprised how the following week management or players will literally try that extra 10, 15, 20% more. That's just like my own opinion.
Yeah, well, agreed. From a Catford perspective, like I told you, I need a lot more commitment. I need a lot more commitment from every single body because individually, we are a fantastic side. But collectively, if and it's coming from last season, there's a lot of games that there was 11 players, 10 players, 12 players, week in, week out. And this is where we are, first game of the season, and we have 12 players. So the whole of preseason, the only times we've had full squads or more than 11 players would be the Kawuya game and this game. So that being said, it just alludes to the fact that you won't have time to gel, to bond, to try things out, for you to know the patterns of play, for you to know your partnerships, etc., etc. So management can do what we want in terms of having a strategy, in terms of trying to bring everything together. But we we all have to do this together as a team. Individually, outstanding, but individual will get us nowhere. You see what I'm saying? So I'm hoping and having every faith in the boys to step it up. You know, next week, big game. I expect to see about 15, 16 man on the, on that Saturday, to show that we are committed, and then we can carry on from there.
Cool. Nana, I am taking you off because this is not about you. But again, big shout out for you that you kind of coming on and again being like transparent and literally putting your head above the pulpit. Because again, when like things go right, it's like very easy to kind of come out and actually boast. But when like things are a little bit bumpy, I would love people to keep the same energy. So Nana,
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Lessons. Have a good evening, guys.
See you later.
Take care. See ya.
Yeah, Sean. So regarding the Southern Vets Football League, what things or what initiatives do you think they like should be trying to implement? I'd say for like next season and beyond.
I said obviously before I came on, when we had a quick chat, I said about how much the game's changed in Vets football from when I first started playing. I think there's been a shift in mentality, so players take it a lot more serious now than what they were before when I was playing. So I started playing for Catford initially about 7-8 years ago, and I think the average age of players was a lot older than what it is now. Players didn't really care too much about how in shape they were. Whereas now I think obviously you're getting players coming across as soon as they hit 35 into the game. So the profile of Vets football has gone up. Obviously you've got certain clubs now who've established a name, not just in Vets football, but I hear people talk about certain Vets clubs outside of Vets football. Like that never used to happen when I first got into Vets football. So I think obviously the league. One thing that really bugs me is obviously teams cancelling and things like that. There should be more kind of punishment for that if teams just pull out or using different excuses, which I think is more tactical thing than actually they can't play the game. So I think there should be more that should be taken more serious. I think as well with the divisions as well, I think that needs to be looked at because as well you get teams that sort of fold halfway through the season. Last season we had 8 teams in our league. Do you see what I mean? We only played, I think it was 14 games or something like that. So maybe looking at that to see do we just make less leagues but make them bigger? Do you see what I mean? I think that could help potentially. And then I think, for me, those are the main things that off the top of my head that I can kind of think of that could be sort of done to help improve things going into next season. I think as well, one thing I will say, I know obviously we've not played in a cup final yet, but I know I've heard of other teams where they've got to cup finals and the grounds they're playing at is not the best to say. So I think, just making it an event that day, probably, hiring out a sort of semi-pro club that's got a stadium and then, holding the finals there and for all the sort of League Cup finals. I think that'd be a good thing to be done. Yeah.
What does football mean to you?
Like I said, football for me, I've grown up with football. I love it. And that's why, I started the club. And that's why I do what I do. Obviously, as managers, we're volunteers. We don't get paid for this. It's actually like a second job when I think about it, because it's not just about Saturday for managers. This is throughout the whole week. We've got to make sure everything's in place for the game on Saturday. Just for me, it's a part of life. It's a part of life for me. It's a culture. It's you're a part of something. With football, and especially with the Vets football as well, we kind of got our own little community, haven't we? Within Vets, and it's just being a part of that. And again, I mentioned it's an outlet. So, for the Saturday when you're with the lads, you kind of forget about anything going on in your personal life. If you've got problems and stuff like that, it gives you that outlet. you know, to just forget about that, play football, socialize, and, you know, enjoy playing football.
And if you don't mind me asking, you know, again, even though like we're talking about vets football now, but you know, everyone's got live, you know, like a life outside of like the game. How was your childhood, and you know, was there a kind of distinctive crossroads for you to either get to the promised land regarding like the football side of it, or you know, literally was it another path where you felt, you know what, this path is like something I now want to explore because of my, you know, because of my lack of sporting prowess, however you want to put it?
Yeah. I had a good childhood. So I grew up in sort of Camberwell, Peckham area. You know, my family wasn't a big football family. They weren't big, and I got older brothers, and one of my brothers played football, but he's quite a bit older than me, so not really out playing football with him. It was more the estate I was on. Everyone around the estate played football, and to be honest, I started playing football late. So I only started playing when I was about 13, I think it was 12 or 13, just a local team on a Saturday. I didn't even really play for my school team, to be fair. And I really sort of started playing when I got to about, say, 17, 18. I was sort of in and around the kind of semi-pro circuit for a few clubs, sort of combined counties, Ryman type thing. And yeah, so I wouldn't say there was that kind of that family behind me to say, yeah, we're going to support you, we're going to take you here, train you to get to the highest level in football as possible. I kind of just did it because I like playing football and I loved football. And you know, obviously, when you're young, every young kid that sort of growing up around the time I was, we all wanted to be professional footballers at that time. So that, for me, that would have been the ultimate dream if I could have made it to that level. But I mean, like I said, the level I did play at wasn't bad. You know, you sort of playing in stadiums in front of a few hundred fans, so you get a bit of a taste of how it is, and traveling to games and coaches and things like that. And considering the age I started playing at, you know, it's to get to that point, it was good. So yeah, like I said, it was more about my own drive to want to play football as opposed to having that family structure behind me to kind of push me into football type thing. But yeah, like I said, it's fine. It wasn't a thing of like I was deprived or anything like that. It's just how it was.
Can you remember that moment where like you was like, okay, you know what, like the semi-pro and the Ryman's League stuff, it's great, but I have to find something else to literally support myself, to support the family, etc.
Yeah, so it was, well, I had my first child, my daughter, so that obviously changed things drastically. I think as well, I got injured as well at the time, so I was going to be out for quite some time with that. And obviously with semi-pro, you're talking about training twice a week. You're playing midweek games, and then you're having to play Saturdays as well. And some of the games you've got to travel far for, so that's your whole Saturday's gone. So that obviously, taking all that into account, and then you know you've got newborn babies. You're not seeing much of your family, and for me, it was kind of thing. Well, you know, is it really worth it? Obviously, the injuries as well, travel and stuff, and I just, you know, I think I got to about 26, 27, and I stopped playing football for about 4 or 5 years after that. And I came back into it just sort of doing Sunday league, and then eventually got into the vets football after that.
And again, I should be absolutely honest to let everyone out there, you know, this is the first time that we're actually speaking. So literally everything that, like you're saying, I'm just trying to absorb and soak it in, and like something that I don't know, please correct me, you know, if I'm wrong. You like seem like a very driven human being, but also with a chip on your shoulder, and also a bit of a rebel as well.
Why do you think that? Why do you get that impression?
Well, with the with the kind of Catford situation, I've and I just don't think you can elect to play by other people's rules. And even kind of talking about your kind of footballing journey, you like started late, and you kind of constantly said, I didn't really have like the family support. I had to kind of make, I had to make my own journey, which kind of shows drive, discipline, determination, but also possibly like a chip on the shoulder saying, you know what, I'm going to show whoever's saying that I can't do it, that I can.
Yeah, but I don't think that necessarily means I've got a chip on my shoulder.
But literally, I'm kind of saying it almost in a positive way, because like
I get it.
Because again, like we are kind of in a community now where exactly what you said before, as a founder and as a manager, you are doing this is a voluntary position where you are spending your time and money to literally fund your club. You don't do that if you're, first of all, not slightly deluded, which is cool, and also driven, and also have a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't use those words, but yeah, definitely self-driven. If I set my mind to something, then I like to see it through. To be fair, I'm not one of these people that's going to start something and then just quit halfway through, especially if things aren't going well. I'm not going to give up. Unless this is completely like you're flogging a dead horse, and obviously at some point you've got to say, right, enough's enough now. But no, not at all. And to be honest, I don't. How you said it, you make it sound like I'm kind of thinking, oh, well, I've got to prove this person wrong or that person wrong. It's not that at all. For me, it's more about, like I said, if I set my mind to something, if I've got an idea and I think, this makes sense, I'm going to do this regardless. This is where I'm trying to get to. And, you're always going to have people say, oh, you can't do that, or you should do it like this, or you should do it like that. And as a sort of manager and, a founder or someone that's driven, you kind of have to have your idea and just go for it, regardless of what people say. And if it works, it works. Great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just move on. Simple as that.
Do you think the word mentally tough and sacrifice, are being phased out of not only football, but just in our vocab in life?
Yeah, I mean, in life in general, obviously, there's a lot of things you can and can't say now. And like I said, not just in football, but outside of football. I get why people are trying to, say, oh, like you said about being mentally tough. People should be sensitive to other people's feelings and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm old school kind of thing. So I'm just going back to football, managers I had, they were effing and blinding at you. I'm talking, we were kids then, and there was no one to say, oh no, you shouldn't talk to him like that, or that's not the right, aren't the right words. You can't say that to kids and things like that. And so obviously I'm always going to be biased based on my experience compared to how things are now. But yeah, I definitely think there is a change in the mentality towards, people having to be mentally tough, and being able to speak your mind as such, as opposed to when we were kind of growing up and obviously playing football as well. It was the culture was a lot different then, I'll say.
So are you conscious about how you speak to your players now when like certain things are not going right?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm always saying to my the boys at the club, and they can vouch for this as well. I'll say, you'll have moments in the game where it gets emotional, especially if things aren't going right. Some players might have a go at another player and things like that. And you can't approach each player the same way, right? Because some players are sensitive, right? And if for example, if I have a go at a player, I need to know how that player is mentally, because potentially I could lose that man on the field if I don't approach him in the right way. And obviously that comes down to man management, things like that. So totally, as opposed to, like I said, back maybe, 7, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, managers, they didn't care. They're just effing and buying at you. If you ain't doing the job, you're off. That's it. No questions asked. No one's coming to put your arm around you. Oh, how you feeling today? And as well, especially in vets football as well, you've got to think about, we're guys of a certain age, right? So a lot of us have got families, we've got work. There's a lot of stressful things going on outside of vets football. So sometimes when you see players doing certain things, or maybe they're not responding to the instructions that you're giving them. This could be a result of what's going on outside of football. So you have to be conscious of that as well, you know, and I'm always saying that to some of the players. And, you know, when, you know, people are getting emotional, I'll say, listen, maybe there's something more going on here than what we're seeing. And so, you know, you have to kind of tread a bit carefully until you can kind of figure out how to get through to certain individuals.
What do you think the FA can actually do financially to actually help like the grassroots community? That's vets, open age, little league.
Yeah, I mean, for a start, they could invest in putting more pitches, making them available for kids to use for free. You know, obviously, like when we were growing up and things like that, we had loads of pitches we could go to. You had like obviously your community clubs and stuff like that we could go to and play football in. Now, you know, you hardly see these things around, and I think that's a big part of kids getting out and playing football. You know, and from what I know, the money's there to do it, but for whatever reason, it's not really happening. And that also just obviously helps kids stay off the street, you know, getting into things they shouldn't be getting involved in. But yeah, that for me, that's the biggest thing. I think they should really look into investing back into setting up community clubs for kids to have an outlet to go and play football and not be charged to go and play as well. They can just rock up with a ball and have a kick about.
And then what about for our community, the vets?
I mean, obviously, for vets, I think you could have the investment for clubs like ourselves. You know, we've started up from the ground from nothing. We have to go out and buy kits. You know, the guys have to put their money into so we can get kits. Make sure we've got equipment and everything. And there should be stuff available for clubs at our age group where, you know, we can get funding to go out and you know, buy kits, get footballs, get equipment. You know, if we do training once a week down at Crystal Palace, that costs money. You know, so these are things that the government, I think, or sorry, the FA, they could help us with. Even like for clubs like yourself. I know obviously you've got the clubhouse down at Catford, but obviously when it gets to winter, you can't train down there. So obviously having that pot of money where, you know, they could say, there you go, you can book up AstroTurf at this place for the rest of the year type thing. I think that would help massively.
And again, you know, let's be totally transparent here. You know, playing football again. You are talking about training, subs, travel, food at the game, drink. You know, there are certain players that can easily spend over £120 a month, 150. Yeah. You know, yeah. And again, you know, cost of living. Like, let's be real here. It's you know, like it's really pinching everyone's pocket. Yeah. And I know we all talk about certain teams folding because of, you know, because they can't get certain players or whatnot. But sometimes people will say, is it me playing football or is it me providing and putting a hot plate like for my kids? I literally have to choose one, and literally football or kind of activities such as exercise literally is the first thing that people take off their list. Absolutely.
And that goes back to where I said about funding for the vets game. And obviously I know, Tabrice, you do a lot of stuff for like mental health well-being. Like I see football as part of helping, you know, people who are struggling with mental health. You know, that release of energy playing football, it's like, and as well going to the gym and things like that, that helps a lot. So I think definitely it should be looked at seriously of you know, trying to provide a pot of money for clubs like ourselves, Catford, other vets teams, where players who can't necessarily afford to pay the subs every Saturday, you know, maybe the subs could be subsidized by that pot of money, which allows them to come and then get involved in the game. Because I'm sure there's a lot of players out there who would love to be involved with vets football. I mean, I've had it where players have come to me and they said, look, I want to play, but I can't afford it. Do you see what I mean? And then you've got to have a conversation, and it's like, well, you know, because to take them on, it's not fair on the other guys that are paying, you know, but at the same time, you want to help them out. So you're kind of stuck in that, you know, that middle ground. But I think having, like I said, having some kind of funding or backing from the FA would can only be a positive thing.
Yeah. So kind of going back to actually talk about football. Let's kind of briefly talk about your team in Division 5. How is everything going there? So
it's a totally new team. I think we've only got 3 players that were playing last season, including myself. So obviously it's going to take time to gel the team. We won, so we lost the first game, won the second, and we lost yesterday. But it's got some good players there, and we're recruiting as well constantly for that team. So like I said, this is a long-term plan. It's not a thing of, I'm not looking at this season and I'm looking at 2-3 seasons ahead here to try and get this team up there with the first team. I mean, ultimately, for me, the goal is to have 2 teams in Division 1. Mm-hmm. If we could achieve that, that would be massive for the club. So that's kind of where we're trying to get to. And the second teams are at the minute, it's a place where, guys who necessarily can play football, but maybe they haven't played for a while, they haven't got the fitness to play in the high divisions. This is their sort of opportunity to come and get involved with the club and get good minutes as well.
Yeah. And we kind of briefly spoke about your first team, and they rightly so. You've got to back your team to actually be in contention. I mean, what would realistically be a good position for you guys to finish?
First.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I can't say it. Finish first. Listen. Let me tell you. So, our first team, we got some good players, man. And I'm not just saying that because obviously it's our team, but we've got some talent in there. We've got Sims, top player, Arian, proper baller, Danny, Martin as well. Martin's been playing player manager, and I think he's joint top scorer at the minute. Alex as well, centre back. We've just signed, I think, Naz. He used to play for Blackheath Wanderers. Got wicked left foot. He's made an instant impact. So we've got some proper ballers in there. For me, it's just about us being able to keep the squad together throughout the whole season, though. Hopefully we don't get too many injuries, and we're still recruiting players for that first team as well. So we're still going to always be looking to add, and hopefully that will get us over the line from now to the end of the season. But yeah, no, listen, I've got to back my team, man. I have to.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And again, I can't wait for Catford to host SP or vice versa. Personally, I owe SP one because honestly, I still remember, again, it was a humbling because I was thinking, wow, okay, again, a team in Division 3 shouldn't really be competing against a team like Independent, but you guys again, played really well, and I'm thinking, personally, I owe you one.
Okay, well, we'll see. No, but listen, on our day, when we play football, literally sometimes last season I watched us in awe. I was like, wow, we played some good stuff. But it's like I said, it's just being able to do that week in, week out consistently. And is when you're missing 1 or 2 of your big players, it changes the dynamics of the team, doesn't it? And it's like I said, football's just, especially competitive football, it's a squad game. It's not about your strong 11. And what do they say? You're as good as your weakest player, aren't you? That's how good your team is. So that's where we're at, and that's why we're trying to get as much quality into the first team squad as possible, so that when we are missing 1 or 2 players, it doesn't kind of lower the standards too much.
Cool. And if anyone wants to join SP Athletic, how can they find you?
So we're on social media. So SP Athletic Vets on Instagram. We've also got a website, which is spathleticfc.com. We train every Thursday at Crystal Palace Leisure Centre, and that's from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. on the AstroTurf next to the Dome. So yeah, just anyone come down. Also hit us up on Facebook as well. Drop us a message. Like I said, we've got the 2 teams now, so we're recruiting, looking for players constantly.
Yeah, and again, I know you're serious when you've kind of got your own website as well. It's kind of not no link tree thing, or it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's a spathletic.co. Was it .co.uk?
.com.
Right, you're going for the .com.
You've got to do it properly to breathe.
Right, let's see. Driven. That's what I'm saying. Driven. I love that. Sean, it's been an
Yeah.
absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure, and let's hopefully we can kind of definitely meet up. And again, everything that you're doing for like vets football, everything that you're doing for SP Athletic, and again, you know what, there are like certain people out there, you know, 30, 35, 45 that she may want to start a football club.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me saying, please go and hit up SP Athletic. Go and like hit up Sean. You know, I'm sure that you will be like a wealth of knowledge, because again, you know, running a team is, you know what I'm saying, like it's a kind of endless task. So yeah, please kind of go and hit up SP Athletic, hit up Sean. And again, thank you so much for coming on. Actually, before I go, I just want to say that I'll be doing the live draws for the Junior Cup, the Beckenham Cup, and the Chairman's Cup as well. Later on next week. Watch out for the link. Actually, that's one thing. Were you happy with your draw in the Senior Cup?
I think we got Holland, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, so tough game. Tough game. But like I said, man, we got some good players. I know obviously they're a strong team, so it'll be an interesting one. But yeah, I would have been happy if we had an easier team, but just got to take what you're given.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like, you know, if you like, sometimes the road to a final, like you've got to beat, you know, favorites and like whatnot, and you know, if you can do like win it, then you know, no one can actually say anything. And again, we can listen to what a lot of people are saying in terms of how like Addis Cup draws done and etc. So you know, we want to keep everything transparent, so actually everyone knows exactly who they're playing and actually how we're doing it and dates and times, etc. So so no, brilliant, Sean. It's been an absolute pleasure. And again, please kind of go and look up SP Athletic on Instagram, and again, spathletic.com, official, universal. Again, please like, subscribe, share. Yes, we can all banter and literally have like a bit of fun, but also, you know, vets football, I think like we were I'd say the lost generation for a couple of years, but you know, teams like SP, teams like Catford, teams like Collington, LSU, Independent, Charcoal, and now like bringing vets football back. And also as well, big shout out to Wombells as well. People don't mention Wombells. Again, they were literally winning competitions way before I even knew about vets. So yeah, big shout out to Wombells as well. Thank you so much for like watching. We will be back next week Sunday. Please like, share, subscribe. See you guys later.